Hi there, it's Jen, and I'm back with another process video. I was just showing you my layout that I had designed for this page. I'm using my Felicity Jane kits. It's a monthly kit club that I just end up putting all of my kits together because the papers have a common thread, and so they all coordinate from month to month in my eyes. Not every single paper, but for the most part. And so I just kind of throw it all together and just use the papers as I want to. And so I had a specific plan in mind for this page, and I wanted to do one of those large hand-cut titles. And so I'm just finding a variety of papers that coordinate that I can use to cut up to do my title with. And I am using a photo of my daughter holding a like squishy tomato splat thingy that she got at Michael's, and it's just a little toy, and the title is going to be "One Man's Junk is Another Man's Treasure," and that is classic Malia, and she loves these kinds of toys that I think are ridiculous. And I always try to talk her out of them, but she will not be swayed, and she makes treasures of these little items that she gets, and she loves them and she plays with them. So I guess it's not a waste, and she uses her own money for them usually, and so she bought this with her own money, and I just wanted to kind of document the fact that she is always doing that. And I think it's really important to document those times that are fleeting. I know that right now it's the case that she does this, but it won't always, and so I just want to make sure that I get that down. So I try to create a mixture of pages that are both like in the now kind of pages, and also pages that are meaningful over time, if that makes any sense. So this is one of those kind of, she does this right now and she won't always do it, and if I don't make this layout, I might forget that she used to always do that. So right now I'm just cutting out all of those different papers, and I am just going for it with my scissors. I just am freehand cutting that, and I'm pretty good with my scissors, so I'm confident in my ability to do that. But if you kind of felt nervous about that, you could draw the letters before you cut them out, or you could find a nice handwritten font and cut it out on your silhouette or something like that. So you don't have to just go for it with your scissors, which I know is kind of nerve-wracking. And actually, it would have maybe been nice for me to plan out the size a little bit more, so that I could get the letters and the words just placed how I want them. But it ends up working fine, and you'll see me shuffle things around and play with things a bit here and there. These papers, like I said, are from a variety of different months from the Kit Club, but they are from what I'm doing now, that kit, which is April's kit, I believe, and it's also from the You and Me kit, which was February, and I think there's also some from the March kit, which the name escapes me right now. But so a variety of kits, and you can see they all kind of coordinate nicely. And I'm going to play around a lot with the placement of the letters and the photo, and I'm not going exactly how I thought I would in the beginning, because I did sketch it out on my little page planner that you saw at the very, very beginning, which is printable that I got from the Happy Life shop, and I will link to that below because I've gotten a lot of questions about that planner page, and it is awesome. I love it. Anyway, I went ahead and cut out the rest of me cutting stuff out, and now I'm just playing with the letters and in relation to the photo, and I'm going to move the photo around quite a bit, and I'm just trying to find a way that the letters will look balanced, because they really do take up the entire page, and I didn't plan it out well enough for me to have an exact location for my photo, and I'm okay with not planning things out. It doesn't really bother me, but I end up making it work by deciding to overlap some of the letters and squish them together a little bit more. And then I also had some blank space on the left-hand side of my photo that's just that cement wall behind my daughter. And so I'm going to overlap some of the letters onto the photo, and that really ties the title in with the photo and makes it all seem like it's meant to go together. And so again, I'm just fussing with some of the letters, and I'm going to switch out some of the E's and the R's and different things like that. And then I'm going to start tacking them down. I'm just using the slightest amount of adhesive because I'm going to end up machine stitching these down. And so when I use my sewing machine, I don't want to use a ton of adhesive because that will gum up my sewing machine, and I don't want to do that. And so I just put the tiniest bit of adhesive so that I don't have to stitch through all of that adhesive. And so, like I said, just putting a little bit of my dot adhesive on those letters and kind of centering the words. And I'm leaving a little bit of extra space at the bottom because that's where I'm going to tuck my journaling. So again, this is another thing I could have planned out maybe a little bit better, but is where my journaling would go. The title in itself is kind of a good indication of what I'm talking about, but it's not enough of the story. And I always find that I need more journaling than just what the title is. So here you can see I just pulled my sewing machine over and I'm just stitching through the letters really quick. And as I stitched through, some of the letters did move because I didn't tack them down enough. But I'm just going to roll with it and make it work. So it ends up fine. I'm not a perfectionist, and so it doesn't really matter to me. A couple of things that I noticed about doing layouts like this is that because your title takes up a lot of the page, and if you use several patterns like I did, you don't need a lot of embellishment. And you'll see after I stitch these down that I just put a few finishing touches on the layout. You really don't need a lot because there's a lot going on already. So that's kind of nice. So now I'm just kind of pulling up some of those papers to just give them extra dimension, especially the ones that are white, the white polka dots, because they don't stand out quite as much. I really wanted to make sure I got that shadow from pulling up the papers so that you can see the outline of the letters more defined. I thought about actually outlining them with a black pen, but decided that that was not the look I was going for this time, so I just pulled them up so they'd get that shadow. And what I'm doing right now is just pulling the thread from the front through to the back so I can tape them down. And I just yank on the thread that's sticking into the back, and it pulls the front thread through. And then I'm just using a little bit of washi tape to adhere and trimming off the extra pieces. And now I am ready to embellish. I did cut some punctuation out as well. And I'm just using this little swirly arrow to point to her little treasure. And I found another arrow in my stash. I think it's a Studio Calico wood arrow, and I'll end up adding that as well. I'm going to go through a lot of my larger wood veneer, and I'm not going to use any of it, but I'm going to go through it. I thought about using these little potty people, the little man figurines. They're not figurines. You know, the little man icon. But it just didn't work out. But I thought it might work because I used the word man's twice. But it ended up not being what I was going for. So I go back to my original little arrow piece. And like I said, I don't need a whole lot of embellishment here. Now this little tin is something that came in a Felicity Jane kit, and I keep my sequins and different things like that in there. And these little stars came in the What I'm Doing Now kit, and they're like sequins, but they don't have holes in them. And they are adorable. I love them. And I think I used almost every single one on this page. And I really like the way that it looked. So it just gives another pop of black, and stars and the size of these stars were the perfect little embellishment to kind of sprinkle around. And before I decide on the final placement of where I want all of my embellishments, I decide to hurry and write my journaling down. And so I'm just explaining what I told you earlier, how my daughter always buys these seemingly junky little toys that she really treasures. And so just a few short lines. I didn't quite give myself enough room, and so I'm going to squish a third line right onto the bottom of the layout, and I'm okay with it. in an ideal world, I would have done it a little differently, and I maybe would have written a little straighter. But the story's there, and that's what's important. So I'm also going to stamp a date with my Chamel roller date stamp, just the month and the year. And then I'm going to get to adhering my embellishments down. So I'm using my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive in a fine line bottle. And I love that bottle. It has a nice precision tip. I got it at Hobby Lobby, but you can get them on Amazon as well. And I'm going to add some more of these stars. I like to do clusters that are odd numbers, so I usually do 3s or 5s or something like that. That top cluster has 6, and that's fine. And this bottom one has, I think, 5. And then I'm gonna end up adding a few more here and there. Okay, so the bottom one has 6 now too, and I kind of maybe see it as, oh, you know what? The top one has 7. The bottom one has 6. Now I'm putting a few up by this little arrow, and I'm just placing them in spots where I feel like it could use a little extra embellishment. A lot of times I'll do clusters of embellishment, like clusters of 3 that kind of draw your eye around the page. In this instance, I feel like your eye is going to be drawn just by reading the title, and so I'm not so worried about placing the embellishments in an area where it needs to draw your eye to the photo or anything like that. So I'm just kind of placing them where I like it and where I feel like there could be a little extra something. And that is going to complete the layout. So I hope that you enjoyed watching, and if you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. You can find, I have all of the places where you can find me online will be linked below. And thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.